Kicking off our final session today is a group that is bridging the gap between businesses that are willing to donate surplus food and the charities that need it. Let's welcome Kaibosh, representing Wellington City.
Ngā mihi nui o te rā. Good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the community vision of Trust Power that has helped us all learn from the hard work, the passion and the innovation behind 24 terrific projects today. I'm Celia Wade-Brown. I'm the Mayor of Wellington from the head of the fish, but it's lovely to be up here seeing the Northland facilities. Kaibosh Food Rescue. They have a vision of zero food waste and zero food poverty. It's a good equation. So in the midst of affluence, many cafes, markets, and retail shops, it's appalling that families go hungry, children don't get fresh food, and food banks are struggling to meet demand. Kaibosh connects 19 food outlets and 20 charities, and it works over 360 days a year. They strengthen the existing networks and fill a very specific gap about fresh food, enabling existing charities to do an even better job. So addressing the paradox of food poverty in the midst of plenty. So I'd like you to welcome Robin and George Langlands, the founders.
Kia ora, everyone. Thanks for having us along here today. So in 2008, I was volunteering for Wellington Women's Refuge, and Wishbone, a local food retailer with multiple stores across the city, approached Refuge and offered us their surplus food at the end of the day. They had actually already asked a number of charities if they wanted this food, and no one was able to accept it because there was one catch. The food had to be picked up when their stores had closed for the night, which was after 6 o'clock, and most of the charities were closed. I offered to pick up the food one night a week and deliver it to the women and children who were staying in our safe house. When I first went to collect the food, I was astonished at how much there was, just black bags full of beautiful food that was all due to expire the very next day and so had to be eaten within 24 hours. So I soon realised that this wasn't a terribly good fit for Refuge because there were only 4 rooms in the safe house and the poor women and children staying there could not eat so much food in such a short space of time. And so the only thing that was really suitable for the Refuge was the ready meals, which we could freeze and they could use at a time which suited them. So what I did is I phoned the Wellington City Mission and I said, is this food that you could use? And they said, that would be fantastic. We are always short of food. We will take whatever you're willing to give us. And so I started dropping it off at Wellington City Mission. And this got my partner George and I thinking about how many food retailers in Wellington must be in a similar predicament, that they have food surplus and no one to give it to. And so we started thinking there was really a need for an organisation that filled the gap between the food industry and charities that work with people in need. And of course we started Googling various terms, using various terms, and food rescue organisations sprung up on our computer from all over the world, but to our amazement there was nothing in Wellington nor in the whole of New Zealand. And so the idea for New Zealand's first food rescue charity was born. We spent 18 months collecting food in our car, storing it in our home fridge and dropping it off at the City Mission and then later the Salvation Army the next day. And what we did was gradually recruit volunteers and family and friends and people who are willing to help us. We started applying for grants, and after those 18 months we were able to rent our first community office and we hired a part-time employee. So you might be wondering where the name comes from. Of course, the word kai is Māori for food, and Kaibosh is to stop something from happening. So it's a mashup of the two words, and to put the kibosh on something, we're putting a stop to food waste being thrown away. This is a picture of George at one of the Wellington markets picking up fruit and veggies, which ultimately ends up in food parcels. So our vision is zero food poverty, zero food waste, and we achieve this by being the link between the food industries and those that support people in need.
Collaboration is the key to our success. We collaborate with funders, with volunteers, and with the sources of excess food from across Wellington. We go to food retailers such as Wishbone here, and supermarkets such as Countdown, and we have regular pickups from them 7 days a week. And then, of course, there's also the random times, like just before Christmas, we got a phone call from a French bakery who gave us 2 tons of high-class French food, which meant that the City Mission's Christmas lunch that year was extra special with pâté and roast duck on the table. And with this collaboration, we're able to rescue food from the landfill. We take our refrigerated van and head off to the fruit and veggie markets on the weekend and retailers during the week. We take that food back to our office, and that's where the redistribution can begin. We have volunteer teams of 3 to 5 people. Ages range from 16 to 65, a multitude of different nationalities involved, and they work 7 days a week, 360 days a year. And the first thing they do is weigh all the food, and then they do a quality check. And that's just because sometimes there's a squidgy apple at the bottom of one of those crates that they pick up. From there, the food is allocated out to the different charities according to predetermined needs. We label all the food, put it into our walk-in chiller, where the charities come and pick it up the next day. And these charities are drop-in centres like the Salvation Army, food banks from across the Wellington area, and providers of meals such as Downtown Community Ministry and the Wellington City Mission. We're pretty chuffed with our track record to date. In the last 12 months, we did 52,000 kgs. We're working with, and you can see it's gone up since we prepared these slides. We're actually working now with 19 donors and 20 charities. And of course, none of this will be possible without our volunteers. We've got more than 65 volunteers who come in and do the shifts. And then we've also got a wait list of more than 20 people after that. We've had rapid growth in the last 2 years, and especially the last 6 months. But the best way to get a real sense of Kaibosh is to have a listen to some of the people involved.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to combat these 2 situations. One where we're having quality food being thrown away, and the other where there's people in need. And so we just bring these 2 problems together with one easy solution.
Kaibosh provides a win-win-win outcome.
Until you hear the figures, you don't realise how much food is wasted, and food's not cheap to begin with, and there's a lot of people needing it, so Kaibosh has definitely filled a gap.
We act as the link between the food industry and charities which work with people in need. We take their excess food which otherwise would have been needlessly discarded, and ensure that reaches the charities that work with people in need.
On the weekdays, I basically just drive around Wishbone stores in town, and I also do countdowns on those days as well. Yeah, I come back here to the depot and we kind of unload it and do like a quality sort.
Basically what we do is weigh in a crate and then weigh it out, and when we do that we just check for any bad food, and then we just allocate it to the charities.
Around 65% of the food that comes in is fresh fruit and vegetables. About 15% of it is bread goods, and the other 20% is a real mixture of all sorts of different types of food. We distribute it currently to 16 different charities around Wellington.
People have come up to me on the street and just say, I've heard about you guys, you're doing great things, and they're real enthusiastic, and it's just awesome to know because the word's actually getting out there.
Kaibosh really helps close the loop between excess food and people without enough food. So Kaibosh is part of the solution: zero food waste, zero food poverty.
Thank you. We're out of time, so just the final slide you can have a look at. we're planning to continue our food rescue revolution that we started in 2008 and expand to areas where there's a lot of need, like Porirua and the Hutt Valley. We know there's a lot of deprivation in those areas that we want to try and address. And we're always willing to share our knowledge and our resources with anyone who wants to start a similar organisation in their town. You can just get in touch. Thank you very much.